Hello there, this is the Bookkeeping Master on YouTube. Welcome to part 2 of this Preparing Year-End Accounts series. I'm so excited. I hope you're excited too. If you've joined the series here, then go back and start from the beginning. You'll get a lot more out of this course if you watch the videos from the beginning in the intended order. You'll also get a lot more from this course if you watch the videos from my website, because there's lots of written content and examples and links on my website which don't show in these videos. If you're happy to stick with YouTube though, you're more than welcome here. Let's get into this. So bookkeeping. I love bookkeeping. I hope you like bookkeeping too, because preparing year-end accounts requires bookkeeping, and this is the first step to preparing year-end accounts, is completing the bookkeeping. Now you may be thinking, well, I'm training to be an accountant, or I'm a student and one day I'll be an accountant so I won't have to deal with bookkeeping, or my client will be doing the bookkeeping, or I have a bookkeeper, they'll be doing the bookkeeping. I'm sorry to tell you that even if that's the case, there will be a degree, there will be some aspects of bookkeeping in preparing year-end accounts. Bookkeeping is the most time-consuming part of preparing year-end accounts. There is a lot of data that needs to be recorded. There's a lot to account for. So if bookkeeping makes you feel a bit like this, no, please no, then maybe preparing year-end accounts is not for you. I personally love it. Of course I do. I'm the Bookkeeping Master. Bookkeeping. If you don't like it, there are ways to enjoy it more, and I'll go through those ways in this video. Now, it's important to mention at this point that this video will not teach you how to do bookkeeping. I will cover the bookkeeping that needs to be done in order to prepare year-end accounts, but it's not a bookkeeping course. I do have a bookkeeping course. It's all for free. It will teach you all the aspects of bookkeeping and double entry bookkeeping. It's available on my website. It's available on YouTube. I will put a link in the description below if you're interested in taking that course. But let's just have a very brief glance over bookkeeping and what bookkeeping is. So bookkeeping is the record keeping of an entity's financial transactions. So this includes things like sales, expenses, liabilities, equity and investments, and asset purchases. Now, if you don't know what some of these things are, equity, assets, then I suggest you go and take that bookkeeping course that I mentioned earlier, because you need to understand bookkeeping, you need to understand basic accounting terminology if you're going to prepare year-end accounts. So it could be that you need to stop the video here, you go and watch my free bookkeeping course, go through that material, and then come back. This is step 1, and you need to know how to do bookkeeping in order to complete step 1 and move on with the other steps in this series. So what exactly needs to be accounted for? So if we're going to do the bookkeeping for an entity, let's say a limited company or a small sole trader business, what do we actually need to account for? Well, I've created a list for you. So all of this needs to be accounted for the financial year of the entity to complete step 1. So to complete the bookkeeping and to finish step 1, all of this needs to be done. So all the sales invoices and credit notes need to be accounted for. All the purchase invoices and credit notes need to be accounted for. All money in and out, so financial transactions in and out of the business bank account, needs to be accounted for. Now I put bank accounts because some businesses might have more than one account, or it could be that they have a current account like a checking account and a savings account, or they could have multiple checking accounts, current accounts. So all these accounts, all the transactions in and out need to be accounted for. So if you have quite a big business that has 30 transactions a day, then over a month, that is a lot of transactions to account for. Over a year, that's many, many transactions to account for. But there are ways to speed up this process and make it more enjoyable, and I'll go through that. I believe it's on the next slide. All money in and out of the business cash accounts. So there's a petty cash account or multiple cash accounts where physical cash is held and money goes in to that float and paid out of that float. That needs accounting for. All money in and out of the business credit card or credit cards needs to be accounted for. All loan transactions. So if the company has bank loans, other loans, perhaps it has a mortgage, all those things, the repayments and interest on those loans or mortgages need to be accounted for. And then all business transactions going through personal accounts need to be accounted for. So you have some businesses where the directors or the owners use their own money, sometimes their own funds, to pay out for business expenses. And sometimes, it's quite rare, but sometimes you might find that directors or owners actually receive money from customers into their own personal funds. This needs to be accounted for. So this is your list. If you do everything on this list, then the bookkeeping will be complete, and step 1 of preparing year-end accounts will be done. So this is, like I said, very time consuming. Because it's so time consuming, it's really recommended that you do the bookkeeping at least monthly. If you do it that often, or perhaps more often, then it becomes a lot more manageable. And it's good to do the bookkeeping frequently because you need to know the financial position of the business, don't you? You need to know, even at the most basic level, which customers owe you money and how much, and which suppliers you owe money and how much, which invoices are outstanding. So even just to know that basic information, the bookkeeping needs to be up to date. So it's important that the bookkeeping is done frequently. If it is done regularly, then you can also create management accounts. And I have a free course all about management accounts too if you're interested. It's on my website. Just like this, there's no sign up, no registration, it's all for free. So this is your list. Work through it. All this needs to be done. It could be that the business has no sale invoices because everything's paid instantly. So it could be like a shop where there are no sales invoices raised on credit, but goods are exchanged for cash instantly. So it could be there are some items on this list. The business might not have a credit card or any loans. So there could be some items here that you don't need to worry about. A couple of things to think about. So double entry and software. These might be questions you have. So the first question I wanted to really answer is, do you need to account for everything using double entry? If you don't know what double entry bookkeeping is, you need to go and watch that free bookkeeping course that I've mentioned a couple of times. Do you need to do that? Well, it's not a simple yes or no answer. Let me delve a bit deeper. So the first thing to consider is it a legal requirement? Now this video is universal. This video is available across the globe. There'll be people watching these series. There'll be people watching these videos, taking this course who are in the UK, the US, somewhere in Europe, Australia. You could be anywhere in the world. So to answer the question, it really depends what the legal requirements are in the country that the business is operating in or the company is operating in. It could be that it is a legal requirement where the business is to do double entry bookkeeping. And if it's a legal requirement, then that's your answer. Yes, you're going to have to do it. But for a lot of countries, double entry bookkeeping is actually not required. So here in the UK, it's not a legal requirement to do double entry bookkeeping. Now, you shouldn't just do something or not do something because it's legal. There are many advantages to doing double entry bookkeeping. If you're preparing year-end accounts for a limited company, where you're going to need to create a balance sheet and a profit and loss statement, your tasks, your job will be made much easier if everything has been accounted for using the double entry method. Double entry bookkeeping also ensures that the accounts are more accurate, and it's a lot more efficient accounting for an entity using double entry than it is single entry. So my encouragement to you would be, yes, use double entry bookkeeping. Now, saying that, if it's a very small business with very few transactions and it's not going to require accounting software or anything like that, then creating a short list of sales and expenses is going to be fine. But any business that's generating a good amount of revenue that's well established, I strongly suggest that you use double entry bookkeeping. It's going to make the year-end process so much easier, and also things like management accounts throughout the year and the general accuracy of your accounting records will be better if you're using double entry bookkeeping. Obviously, if it's a legal requirement, you're going to have to do it anyway. Another question that I want to answer is, do we need accounting software? Do we need bookkeeping software? So the big packages nowadays, the most popular packages for smaller businesses are like Sage, Xero, QuickBooks Online. I use all of them. I love them all. Do you actually need accounting software? Okay, so to create an echo and to repeat myself, it could be where you are, it is a legal requirement to have bookkeeping software. So please look into that. Generally, it's not a legal requirement. You can use Microsoft Excel or a similar package. But once again, to repeat myself, I strongly recommend that you do use accounting software. Going back to this previous slide, using bookkeeping software can make the bookkeeping tasks that seem tedious and strenuous and frustrating actually be a lot easier. Accounting software can really streamline things, it can automate things, it can make the process a lot smoother, and it will do the double entry bookkeeping for you. So there's lots of efficiencies using bookkeeping software, and I really recommend you use software if you're doing year-end accounts. Once again, that process will be much easier, your job will be much easier if there is bookkeeping software. Once again though, if it's a very small business with very few transactions, then bookkeeping software is probably not needed. Then you could just use Excel or a similar package. And for small businesses, it can be quite hard to justify the cost of subscribing to software, paying out for software, if the business is barely making any money or barely has any turnover or sales revenue, etc. So that's the answer to a couple of questions I thought might be quite common, might be asked a lot. Do I need to use double entry bookkeeping? Do I need to use accounting software? I have answered those questions. If you have other questions about the bookkeeping, use the comment section below and I'll do my best to get back to you and to answer your questions. But to summarize, this is what needs to be done. Step 1, you need to account for everything for the financial year that you're preparing year-end accounts for. Once you've done all of that, you can move on to step 2, which is part 3 in this video series. Thank you so much for watching. I am the Bookkeeping Master. If this has been helpful, please like. All I ask is for a thumbs up and perhaps a comment below saying thank you. And I'll speak to you in the next video.